Hey there! The way to make this form is really simple. So you take a verb stem, any verb stem you want, and you attach 던, 대, and then 요 at the end of a sentence if you want to be polite. Now I said at the end of a sentence because this is used in the middle of a sentence or at the end of a sentence. So what is this form? It's a combination of a couple things. First, 던. Now, 더 is for when you are recalling a past experience that you personally witnessed or that you personally experienced. It's like you're recalling it, you're remembering it. You can translate any form that has 더 in it, like I remember or I recall. 던 is the adjective form of this. Then, the other thing we're working with is the 대 form. Now, what is the 대 form? Well, you probably learned this before, so I won't be reteaching it. The 대 form has several uses. It can be used to add soft contrast to your sentence. It can be used to introduce background information, and it can be used when you're saying something and you're inviting a response from the listener. But in all three of those uses, though, the nuance of the 대 form is actually very simple. It's kind of like how in English, when we're talking and we hold one hand up with the palm facing up, like, hey, well, I like kimchi, but it's a bit spicy. Or that person's nice and they're really cool. So this sort of holding up your palm is like bringing attention to something. You're introducing information. Like if you're going to say, hey, so let me tell you about something. By the way, it just brings attention to whatever you're going to say. And finally, the 대 form, just like I said, can be used for inviting a response from the listener. Kind of like saying, like, what do you think about that? By doing this, it's like, hey, I'm holding out my opinion to you. What do you think of it? So the 대 form has that nuance in it. It brings attention to something. And by doing that, you can either add contrast, or you can just introduce background information and then start talking about it like, hey, this is what I'm going to talk about. Or what do you think about this? So it has those three uses, and it's the exact same form here. Past tense, something you personally experienced or witnessed, and then, which can be used for any of those three uses. Contrast, introducing something new, or inviting a response from the listener. That is all this form is. You can use it in the middle of a sentence, just like the 대 form, or at the end of a sentence, just like the 대 form. So if you already know the 대 form, this is the exact same thing the 대 form can do, plus past tense personal experience. That's it. There's one more thing we have to know, though, about how to use it. If you're using an action verb, you might use either the present tense or the past tense verb stem. If you have 하다, like to do, the action verb, you can do 하던데요. You could, however, also use the past tense verb stem. Normally this conjugates to like 했어요 or something like that. So you could also do 했던데. It already means it's something about the past. 던. It's something you personally experienced or witnessed. So you don't need the past tense stem of the verb you're using. But if you want to emphasize that in the past, something had been completed, like at the time, this had already finished, then you use the past tense stem of that action verb. But most of the time, you won't need it. So again, you only need to use the past tense stem if you're trying to emphasize that the action was fully completed in the past. If you just want to say something was, you don't need to use the past tense stem. This already has that was past tense meaning. That's for action verbs though. With a descriptive verb, you just use 던데 after the stem. You do not use the past tense stem with descriptive verbs. So let's do an example sentence or two. 다 먹어도. So even if 먹어도, even if I eat all of it, even if I finish eating, in this case, since it has 던, we know it's past. So even if I finished eating in the past, even though I had finished eating, 배고프다, to be hungry. 배고프던데요. I was hungry even though I ate everything. Even though I finished eating, I was hungry. I remember, I recall. So I remember I was still hungry even after I ate everything, or even after I finished eating. 다 먹어도 배고프던데요. The nuance is kind of like you're looking off into the distance and remembering something. You're saying like, I was still hungry even after I finished eating. It's reminiscing. You're remembering or recalling something from the past. 생각하다, to think. 생각했던 것 is past tense adjective. So more than I thought. 생각했던 것보다 안, not, 춥다, to be cold. 춥던데요. So I remember it was not cold as much as I thought, or literally more than I thought. So it wasn't colder than I thought, or it wasn't as cold as I thought. 생각했던 것보다 안 춥던데요. I recall it wasn't cold as much as I thought. And this, because 대. So since it's at the end of a sentence, you're not going to be comparing it. You could be comparing it with something that someone already said, but it's like this. So in this case, you can either be introducing new information, like, hey, I'm going to tell you something. It just wasn't as cold as I thought. But more likely, if you're doing this at the end of a sentence, the nuance is going to be, what do you think? Like you're inviting a response from the listener. Yeah, it wasn't as cold as I thought. What about you? 나는, me. For me, 그거, that thing, 너무 달다. 달다 is to be sweet. 너무 달아서. That was, we know it's going to be was because we're seeing 던 at the end, it's past. So that was too sweet for me. So because of that, 못, cannot, 먹다, can't eat it. 먹겠던데, could not. So if you think about this in the past tense, 못 먹겠어요. I won't be able to eat it. I can't eat that. I'm just not going to be able to eat that. But in this case, you're recalling the past. So 못 먹겠던데. 나는 그거 너무 달아서 못 먹겠던데. That was so sweet, I just couldn't eat it. What about you? 거기, there, that place. 오늘, today. 문 is door, 열다 is to open their doors. 안 열던데? I remember, they weren't open today. 거기 오늘 문 안 열던데? Yeah, they weren't open today. You're recalling something. You're like reminiscing. So in English, we do this by like kind of looking off away from the speaker, right? Like we're trying to recall something in our memory. 거기 오늘 문 안 열던데? They weren't open today though. 땀 흘리다 is to sweat. 땀을 많이 흘리던데. So I remember you were sweating a lot. Yeah, you were like sweating a lot. Again, we're recalling it. 괜찮아요? Are you okay? Yeah, I remember you were like sweating a lot. Are you okay? Again, 던데. This is the 대 form. Past tense, personal experience. And then this. Since it's the 대 form, we're using it to connect to another sentence. Yeah, I remember you were sweating a lot. Are you okay? 땀을 많이 흘리던데 괜찮아요? 나는, I, 거기, there, that place, 맛있던데. So for me, that place was, I remember, it was delicious. Hey? So I'm introducing information. In this case, since the sentence continues, it kind of has contrast, a soft contrast. Why? 왜? 인기가 없다. 인기 is popularity. 없다, to not be popular. 난 거기 맛있던데. I liked that place. I thought it tasted great. 나는 거기 맛있던데. 왜 인기가 없지? 난 거기 맛있던데. 왜 인기가 없지? I like that place. How come it's not popular? 저보다, more than me. 피아노, 늦게, late. 늦다 is to be late. So 시작하다, to start, late. 시작했던데. So you started piano later than me. 저보다, more than me. Yeah, I remember you started piano later than me. 대, it's kind of like adding some soft contrast. 더 잘, so more good, more well. 치다 is to play. 치네요, like you play better than me, but you started learning later. 저보다 피아노를 늦게 시작했던데. So you started piano later than me, but 대, 더 잘 치네요. You're better than me. You play better. So this sentence uses 했던데 because you had started. So I remember in the past, you had started, right? So in the position of the past tense that we're already talking about, someone had already done something in the past, in which case you do use the past tense verb stem. Otherwise, you don't need it. There's one more form we can also use, and that is by attaching 던데 or 던데요 after a quoting plain form. So what is that? When you normally make a quote, you'll take the plain form, like 하다 would become 한다, or 먹다 would become 먹는다. For example, 하다 becomes 한다 던데, This is a shortened version of 한다고 하던데 or 하던데요. Basically, it's just a quote. So someone said, or maybe I heard that 한다, someone did something. So this is the exact same form as saying I heard that, or someone said that, someone did something, or someone was something, depending on the verb. This isn't anything special other than a shortened version of saying that you heard or that someone said 던데, because it's just a quote. There's one more thing you need to know about this. When you make a quoting plain form with the verb 이다, you don't get 이다고, you get 이라고. So that's 이라고 after a consonant or 라고 after a vowel. Well, because you're shortening this from 이라고 하던데, 이라던데 after a consonant or 라던데 after a vowel. The same also goes for the verb 아니다, 아니라던데, because you're originally saying 아니라고 하던데. So this is a completely optional form because it's just a shortened version of the longer form. And you might also see the longer form used too. So let me give you an example sentence. 그것보다, so more than 그것, more than that. 이게, which is 이것이, so this is 더, more, 인기가 많다, to be popular. So in this case, 많다고 하던데요. So 많다던데요. I remember, or I recall that they said, so I heard basically, that it was very popular. More popular than that. 그것보다 이게 더 인기가 많다던데요. I heard that this is more popular than that. 그것보다 이게 더 인기가 많다던데요. 일찍 is early, 가다, to go early. So 일찍 가야. This 야 means only if. So only if you go early, 살 수 있다, 사다, to buy, 있다, can buy. So you can only buy it if you go early. 하던데. So I remember hearing that you can only buy that if you go there early, but 언제 갈 거예요? When are you going to go? 일찍 가야 살 수 있다던데. 언제 갈 거예요? So I heard you can only buy that if you go there early. So when are you going to go? So you buy a shirt and it's too small. But 이게, this, 제일 크다, to be the biggest. 제일 큰 사이즈. So the biggest size. 라던데. In this case, it's 이라고 하던데. So I heard, or they said that this is the biggest size, 대. But 그래도 still 작아요. It's still small. So I heard that this is the largest size, or they said this is the biggest size, but it's still small. 이게 제일 큰 사이즈라던데. 그래도 작아요. And that is everything you need to know. Thank you everyone for coming, and I'll see you again next time. 그럼 다음에 또 봐.